Well, hello, and welcome back. I'm AJ O'Neill, and this is the Health, Wealth, and Commitment channel, where I teach you how to win at life from the bias of my own experience. So, yesterday was my birthday, and my wife did a wonderful thing. She got us all tickets for the rodeo, and that was way more fun than I thought it would be, because I think just the very idea of rodeo is kind of cool, trying to stand a horse or a bull that's trying to kick you off. And actually watching it was way more interesting than I thought, especially how there were some world champions there who didn't even get points because they, on a technicality, started off wrong or just completely, fell off in the first half of a second or something like that. And it was just really cool to see that the rookies and the world champions. There was somewhat a matter of chance and, of course, somewhat a matter of skill. And, it all averages out. The world champions become the world champions because, on average, they're doing the better bull rides. But we saw some of them, completely flop. Anyway, it was a really cool experience. We saw some of our neighbors were there. The sponsors were businesses that are actually in the community. So the auto mechanic that's down the street, the local bank, just a lot of local stuff. And I've been thinking in this related space recently, but the point that I wanted to get to is that this is going to sound a little unrelated, but if you want to see if a system is going to work, it should work in a small setting. There are a very few instances of a system where, if it doesn't work in a small setting, if you make the system bigger and grow it, that it'll suddenly begin to work. So, for example, if you could not demonstrate that you knew how to build a, say, dog house, then you probably, or rather, if you had tried to build a dog house and the principles that you used to build a dog house failed outright, you probably shouldn't try to take those principles and then expand them and make them larger, because they're probably not going to work on, say, a full single-story house or a two-story house. As you grow the scope of a solution, you also grow its complexity. And as you grow its complexity, you're going to have additional requirements. So you could over-engineer the doghouse and put down a foundation and put more structural pieces in place, and you could fulfill all of the requirements of a two-story building on a small scale, and it's probably going to work out pretty well. In fact, you could even go to modeling a large skyscraper and put one of those giant several ton balanced steel balls that go inside of them inside of you couldn't do it at that size, but you could scale it down and you could have a structure that balances on a small scale. But you can't take a structure that doesn't work at a small scale and then build it out to a large scale. And this is kind of the foundation of like society. The foundation of society is the family. And if you can get something, to work for yourself, can you get something to work for yourself, then can you get that same principle to work in your family? And if you can get it to work in your family, can it work with your neighbors or your church group? Or, as you find things that work well, principles that work well in life, can you share them with others, and can others get benefit from them as well? And can that benefit grow? And as things grow, there's additional complexities, and the thing that works on the small scale may not work exactly in that identical form as you go larger, but they're principles that you build upon. If you take a principle that you can't apply in a way that works for you, and or you can't apply it in a way that works for your family, and not all things transition directly in that way, where just because it's something that makes sense for an individual means it makes sense for a family, because those are slightly different types of organizational unit. But anyway, the point being that if you know that something doesn't work at a small scale, it probably won't work at a large scale. And the way that this tied back into the whole rodeo thing was just feeling. I don't know if it was actually that related, but it just the feeling was the feeling of how nice it is to be here with these people where there's a sense that we share some common values. We're at a rodeo, so I mean, I'd say that's fairly patriotic in a way. It's rural values. I think the type of people that show up at that event. There was a sense of unity as we stood and said the national anthem. We said the Pledge of Allegiance. The national anthem was sang. There was a prayer to open the event, and the people that I don't know if the announcer was from the area. I think that he was. No, actually, I'm not sure. The core announcer may not have been because the way that he was speaking. Anyway, the whole event was people from around the country. It was people from, well, mostly parts of the country where they have rodeo competitions and such. So there's people from Colorado and from Texas. I think there were some people from Canada. Just lots of different places. But aside from the people that were putting on the event as the entertainers were from all over the country and some out of the country, the people that had gathered there and some of the entertainers as well for like the halftime shows and whatnot, or not halftime, but intermissions. There was a motorcycle bike doing jumps and flips, and it was crazy. It was amazing. But it was just nice to be there, and it felt like a safe place to have our young 2-year-old daughter interacting with the other kids on the stand, and it just felt good. And there's things that are working in our family that also are working in our neighborhood, and I don't know quite how to exactly explain it, but those certain values or systems or behaviors, they're also working in the community. Like there was just, for me, I felt at home with these people. Like they could have all been my neighbors, the people that were around us. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but that's kind of how it ties in. It's just this idea that if there's a shared set of values that work and bring benefit to people at a small scale, and you can get some mind share and bring that to a larger scale. There's additional complexities or whatever, but good things start small, and good values. This could be entrepreneurial as well. You need to be able to solve someone's problem as a single individual or a single family or a single smallest unit, and then expand out to solving the problem more generally. So I hope that was actually enlightening or thought-provoking, or gives you some sort of sense of benefit. And if it did, go ahead and give this a thumbs up. Consider checking down in the doobly-doo for the links to follow and subscribe on the various platforms, as well as the Beyond Code channel and my general live stream channel if you're interested in the tech nonsense that I do. And with that said, I hope that you have a wonderful morning, and I will catch you later. Adios.